Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to your evening Manchester United show. Harry Amass is finally called up by Ten Hag to the matchday squad for the first time this season and could finally get some opportunities in the game versus Fenerbahce. Eric Ten Hag calls for patience. Delo speaks out about the development in certain Manchester United players. We've got more news, more stories, and more updates coming in on Joshua Zirkzee. We spoke about reports coming in earlier that United were ready to sell him. And, that was a sign that they'd already given up on, which I thought was a load of rubbish and a load of nonsense. I had a bit of a rant about that. I like Zirkzee. Let's give him time. Let's give him some respect. Apparently, Zirkzee wants to have United. Now, I think it's absolute rubbish. I think it's absolute BS. I think Italian media are salty that Zirkzee left Italy for United. He's not had the smoothest time settling in, and they're reporting that apparently Zirkzee already wants to have United. I think it's a load of rubbish, and I'm just going to rant about the media with that. Man United could be signing an Argentinian Wonderkid. They could be taking some Real Madrid targets away from them. Antony set to leave. Days are over at the club. Eriksen set to leave. The latest on Onana, the latest on Malacia, and more. So please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and we're going to dive into all of the latest stories. The first one being Joshua Zirkzee regretting Man United's summer move and eyeing a January exit to Juventus. So this is a different story to the one I covered earlier, but this story's really annoyed me. I'm just going to grab my water. My mouth has all dried up. But let's talk about this, because I'm going to be honest. I just think media want to write something that's going to get clicks. I think the situation with Zirkzee and the situation with Man United is fine. Ineos believe in Zirkzee. Zirkzee believes it will work. He's only been there 2 months. If Zirkzee's mentality was, it's been 2 months, I'm not starting, it's not working, I want out. Or if Ineos' mentality was like, we've signed this guy, we told Ten Hag to sign this guy, and after 2 months we want them out, I'd be very concerned. So I think it is media looking to make something happen. I like Joshua Zirkzee. I think we look better when he's on the pitch. I thought his performance in the game versus Crystal Palace was really, really good. Maybe he could have scored. I think, yes, he's not scored opportunities that maybe Højlund wouldn't score, but I do think we look like a better player with him on the pitch. I think his touches, his movement's good. And I think that Ten Hag, to be honest, I think the reason he hasn't been at his best is because Ten Hag's misprofiled him and asking him to do what he asked Weghorst and Haller to do, and he's not that kind of player. He's a 9.5. He's not a number 9. But I actually really like Zirkzee. I think he could be a really good addition to United. And I think the fact that after 2 months, there's now talk he wants out and that United want to sell him, I think that's being made up by the media to try and stir the pot. I think Italian media are salty that he rejected the chance to play for Italian clubs to go for United, and they're jealous. This is probably written by an AC Milan journalist. If you're an AC Milan journalist, you're hyped up because Fabrizio Romano basically confirmed that Zirkzee to AC Milan was so likely to going to happen. If you're an AC Milan or Juventus journalist who was really confident they were going to get Zirkzee in the summer, he goes to United and then you find out it's not gone well the first 2 months at United. Those journalists with those agendas are probably going to make up stories. Like, let's be honest, imagine if Frankie de Jong, that summer we were chasing Frankie de Jong, and then he ended up going to Chelsea. And he rejected United for Chelsea. Imagine if that happened 2 summers ago, and then things were going bad in his first 2 months at Chelsea. If you're a United journalist, you'd want to write things like De Jong getting moved to Chelsea, maybe he should have gone to United. I just think it's been made up by those journalists. I think it's just generally being made up by those journalists. We're going to dive into the story, just to basically, it's jealousy. I think it's jealousy. If Zirkzee did lose in January, would we lose sleep? If we did lose Zirkzee in January, would we lose sleep? I don't think we would yet, because he's not made a real impact. But I think if he left in January, then had a really good season at Juventus, we'd be saying, what the hell are we doing? Zirkzee might end up being brilliant on average, but we need to turn to Dell. And I think Alex is spot on with that as well. It's just far too early on Zirkzee to have these sort of stories regarding his future exactly. Heard Obi Martin could make his debut. Yes, not yet. He's made his debut for the under-18s, but not yet for the first team. Any news on signing Nipal in January? Nothing crazy new, just that United are looking at it, and it's one to watch in January, and it won't be too expensive, and the player's open to the move at United. But we'll cover that nearer the January window, I think, when more information come out as well. It's interesting how several players start out with some great moves, but quality drops after introduction. I just think Zirkzee needs time to settle. I agree as well. Did you see Zirkzee's link-up play when he missed all those chances? Brilliant. The thing is, yes, he's not the most clinical, but his link-up play, his all-round play is good, and I think with confidence he'll put those chances away as well. For me, confidence. Someone said confidence, get your head down, work hard. We promise these footballers way too much. That ain't kids. Zirkzee should go on loan to League Two. He might find his level not good enough. Spunked 42 million up the wall, says Ginge. Completely disagree. I think there's a good player there that's being most profiled. And it's not like Zirkzee or any of our new signings have come in to stay with the situation as well. You can't fully judge Agate, Zirkzee, Delict, Euro. Who was the other one? Mazraoui until actually the system's stable, because the system at United isn't particularly stable as well. But I like Zirkzee, I think it could work. But this was said on Zirkzee. That will do further harm to Zirkzee's confidence, with Calcio Mercato even going to reveal the forward is starting to regret his decision to come to the Premier League instead of staying in Serie A. The report further highlights the 23-year-old wishes to leave Old Trafford as early as January, but it's still not clear whether the Red Devils will agree to the player's wishes soon after spending big money to land him. Juventus remain keen on bolstering their attack with former Bologna manager Thiago Motta currently in charge of Turin base club, and they could opt for a loan deal. AC Milan are also keen but seem to move on. Joshua Zirkzee starting to regret his choice made last summer, preferring the Red Devils to Italian clubs. So according to Italy, Zirkzee's regretting moving to United and could maybe go on loan to Juventus. We're not going to, if Ineos went and loaned Zirkzee out to Juventus after about 4 months, it'd be stupid. If you look at Kai Havertz's first 3 months at Arsenal, shocking. Didn't do anything. You looked at his second half of the season. If you looked at Kai Havertz in 2024, when it was the January, the turn of the year, when he got confidence, it's compared to 2023. And I'm not comparing Zirkzee to Havertz, but you know what I mean. Havertz's first 3-4 months at Arsenal, he was getting stick. I think he only got like 2 goals. One was a penalty. He wasn't great. He was missing chances. He gave away, I think, a silly penalty or something like that. And he was getting slammed. 2024 came around, and Havertz basically was ranked first in the Premier League for goals and assists in 2024, or second behind like Palmer or Haaland or someone. It was, absolutely ridiculous. And so I think to write Zirkzee off this early on, have we not learned anything about the Havertz transfer, how confidence, settling in, learning the side system can do so much? Of course, in the Havertz case, Arsenal was a much more stable club where everyone around him was playing well, when the manager actually had a system and a reason that he brought him in, whereas he's obviously an Ineos signing that Ten Hag doesn't know how to use, and the system isn't stable at United. So I guess it's going to be harder. But I think there's ways to make it work. I really want to see both Zirkzee and Højlund on the pitch together. Potentially with Bruno out injured versus Porto, we could see Zirkzee in the 10 role behind Højlund, which would be really interesting to see as well. Can't say how good Zirkzee will be, but we've had plenty of players take time to settle and become good or great players for us. Exactly. I remember Vidic didn't hit the ground running when he first joined United. It happens. Even like Fred, who ultimately, wasn't like the best player in the world. But what I'm saying is, I remember Fred's first season was atrocious and his second season was all right. Delo's first season was very good, and he's now quite an important player for us. There's a lot of players that come in and they don't hit the ground right away, but it gets better and better and better as well. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I am on 95,299 subscribers. So I'm only 1 subscriber away from 95.3k. So do subscribe if you're new. But let's get into some more stories, some more updates as well. Be interesting to see Zirkzee in the 10 position. Bruno is unavailable to play on Thursday versus Fenerbahce. He's suspended. So I'd like to see either Ahmad or Zirkzee in the number 10 role. The only frustrating thing about Zirkzee is he had 2 chances versus Liverpool, and I think he could have put one of those away. But before we talk about the Fenerbahce game, before we talk about more news, I do want to talk about some interesting stories in regards to transfers going about as well. Evans as well, I believe the first 6 months or so were quite rough. Evra had to go into it a little bit as well. Someone said try playing Ahmad as a 10. I would be interested to see Ahmad as a 10. I think I meant Evra instead of Vidic when I said they didn't start the best right away as well. I mean, Rasmus Højlund didn't score his first Premier League goal to December, and then I think scored in 8 games in a row. Confidence can do a lot. Rasmus put away the only chance the team created, 100% conversion rate. He's a good finisher as well. Saliba at Arsenal again. Yeah, he was loaned out for 2 seasons, obviously a lot younger, but now he's one of the best players in the world. Amad Diallo's only really having his first proper season at United, and he's on the bench. I mean, he shouldn't be on the bench. He should be playing as well. But yeah, Eric will play Casemiro and Agate in the pivot and Eriksen's at 10. I think that's what he'll do. But I'd rather see Zirkzee or Ahmad as the 10 as well. We're going to get into Malacia news in a second, but let's get into these stories. Manchester United are among the clubs following 17-year-old River Plate talent Franco Mastuano. I don't know if I'm saying his surname right, but I know that he's someone that can play as an attacking midfielder, someone that can play as a right wingers, really technically good, really good on the ball, dribbling, weaving in and out of players, seen as the next elite talent coming out of Argentina. Obviously, we missed out on Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez hasn't been great for Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez. We've missed out on a lot of great Argentinian talent, and Real Madrid really want this guy, but they're trying to negotiate the price down because Real Madrid's new strategy is Alphonso Davies, run down your contract, we get you for free. Mbappe, run down your contract, we get you for free. Trent, run down your contract, we get you for free. Real Madrid are trying to find a way to get him on the cheap, but he's a player that United are looking at and potentially, how, a lot of teams wanted Esteval and Chelsea won that, and Chelsea went in the base scenario. Man United believed that they could win Franco, and Ineos want to make a statement by bringing in some top tier young talents. They've got Nice, they've got Lausanne. They think that could help them attract these great South American Wonderkids because they can say, look, there's a pathway for you to go and get minutes here and there. And it'd be really interesting. It was also said that Alphonso Davies continues to be a dream transfer for Manchester United as well. According to Florian Plettenberg, we also know from Christian Falk, another good German source, that United really want to bring in Alphonso Davies, but he does seem set on Real Madrid, and we'd have to pay significant wage to deter his mind. But him going to Real Madrid isn't sealed on yet, but it seems to be his preference. So again, these are two players that Real Madrid want, and if Ineos want to cook, if Ineos really want to make a statement, they'll say Euro, nope, Davies, nope, Franco, nope. And if we got all three, that is a statement from Ineos, but I do not see that happening. River Plate are always producing gems, absolutely. Absolutely. We definitely need a left back. I mean, I just go for Anthony Robinson, Premier League proven. I think Davies just will wait for Madrid, but I would not say no to Davies as well. Hi, Alice. I see Zirkzee is the perfect number 10 or replacement for attacking midfield when we lose them at the end of the season. I think Zirkzee could do the number 10 role. He is a 9.5, but I think he could do that McTominay role that we got McTominay to do. We've got Bruno to drop deeper next to Maino, and we've got McTominay to do that role. I'll be really interested to see a game of... Well, I don't really want to do this against like an Ipswich or an Everton or someone, but I'd like to see Højlund striker, Ahmad right wing, Rashford left wing, Zirkzee 10 in that McTominay role, Bruno and Maino pivot behind, and then a back four of Shaw or Mashraoui, Delo, Leacher, Yoro or Delict, and then obviously Anon. I think that'd be quite interesting to see. If you want my honest opinion, a 17-year-old left back while we sold off Alvaro to wait for Harry Amass, I don't see that happening. Look, I don't know, a 17-year-old left back while we sold off Alvaro to wait for Harry Amass, that's the happening. I think we sold Alvaro Fernandez because we believe Harry Amass is a higher talent. But I don't 100% get what you mean. A lot of people say Nori. We've looked at Nori, we've looked at Kirkes, we've looked at Locker, we've looked at Robinson, and we're looking at Alphonso Davies, according to reports as well. Well, Bruno won't be on the bench. Bruno won't be in the squad at all because he's suspended. And Zirkzee being a 9.5 is basically saying he's a crap striker who won't score many goals. It's not that. Firmino was a 9.5. Was Roberto Firmino crap? No, he wasn't. He made Salah and Mane better, in my opinion. João Pedro's a 9.5. Mateus Cunha's a 9.5. I think they're all good players as well. Could Zirkzee play as a 10? Most definitely. But I think the system, Bruno's pressing like a headless chicken at the moment, and that's because the system's telling him to, and I think you're not going to get the best out of players if you're asking them to press like crazy. But yeah, 100%. 100%, I think he could play as a number 10 as well. Bruno won't be on the squad on Thursday. It'd be interesting to see who will be captain, how we'll cope. We could be better. I mean, the last two times we didn't have Bruno Fernandes was Crystal Palace and whatever the game was before that, and we lost them both, and we lost to Crystal Palace 4-0. We always say, people, there's this lazy narrative that Bruno is holding us back. I think so far this season, Bruno deserves to hold the bench because his performance hasn't been good enough. But there's this lazy narrative online that Bruno and Rashford are holding us back and that we'll never be able to play pretty football with Bruno and Rashford in the side, which is absolute BS. Because every team needs killers. It's not all about just players that keep possession. How boring Sancho is, couldn't take on his man the other day. We should have kept Sancho, we should have sold Rashford. Sancho did nothing versus Liverpool. It's just a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of boringness. You need players like Rashford. You need players like Bruno to actually kill off a game. And people have this lazy opinion that they're the ones stopping us progressing because they're selfish players. It's not at all. You can make them work in the right system. You can. Bruno should hold the bench because of recent performances not being good enough. But every time people are saying drop Bruno, we drop Bruno and Rashford, we dropped Bruno and Rashford for one game last season, we lose 4-0. 4-0. With other games we drop Bruno, we lose. We look worse. So I don't know. Maybe because we've got more options, Mount, Ericsson, and Zirkzee and Ahmad that can all play as a 10, we can maybe improve. But I think it's a bit of a boring narrative. This whole we'll be better if we drop Bruno. What is the latest on Harry Amass as well. The not good benefit Maino long term. He needs this rest away. I agree. Sancho should have got a pen yesterday. Alive. Let's not be biased. What sent yesterday? I mean, Sancho was crap, but yeah, he could have won a penalty. But let's not act like Sancho was good. If Rashford had put in the performance Sancho had put in yesterday, every Man United fan will be losing their mind at Marcus Rashford as well. As Mason Mount, a United player, Bruno was better set to Oliver. I agree. Ten Hag's asking him to press like a headless chicken as well. But let's get into this. Amass time. Erik ten Hag has finally rewarded Harry Amass with a first team call-up. The highly rated fullback, who's been a standout performer in the youth ranks, will be among substitutions for the Europa League encounter against Fenerbahce on Thursday, according to United Scout. So that has been said, that Harry Amass is finally going to be involved. Ten Hag rates Harry Amass. He played him on pre-season, but he said to Harry Amass at the end of pre-season, you need at least 2-3 months before you're back in the side because you need to develop physically. He's been doing unbelievably at youth level. He's going to give him another go. Yes, he's defensively vulnerable, but I felt his all-round play going forward was good. I felt that he improved Rashford, his technical abilities, his 1-2s. I'm excited to see Harry Amass. I don't think he's going to start at all, but I'd be excited to see him given an opportunity. I think his technical ability on the ball is really good. I think he is vulnerable at the back, but that's just going to improve with time. Of course, he needs to improve physically, but he's just a young lad, and I think he is generally just going to improve with time as well. Guys, we're on 94 likes, 6 likes away from 100 likes. Let's go for 200 likes. We've got over 400 people watching it. So if half of you right now hit that like button, we will hit that target as well. A sub just like Ahmad, 0 minutes and 3 games. We need rotation, eh? You know what? It's annoying how Ahmad's got no minutes in the last few games. Ahmad better play. If Ahmad does not play, I'll be fuming because Ahmad's been good. The one time Ahmad has not great performance, which I think was Porto, he's not played 3 games since. How many times has every other player on the pitch had a bad performance and then they've started the next game? How many times has Antony had a bad performance and started the next game? But Ahmad just has one bad performance, doesn't start the next game. Can't believe 10 off for that as well. We should get Riggs and Jobs from Sunderland while they're still cheap. Tell you what, Sunderland have got some really exciting young players coming through. I actually think Rig will be better than Job, if I'm going to be honest. But Job could be like that Morgan Rogers kind of impact, couldn't he, as well? Can Zirkzee play Bruno's role because Bruno's been shite lately? Yeah, I think he can, but I think there have to be some adaptations there. I think he'd be more of a McTominay, who's just better on the ball, if I was going to be honest. So he could. I think I'd love to see Ahmad. I'd love to see Ahmad in the number 10 role. I really would. I know he's not the most physical, but I think he's really improved there as well. Erik ten Hag has some weird agenda against Ahmad. I think what's really weird is we want Ahmad to sign a new contract so we don't lose him for free. So not giving him any minutes in the last 3 games and then subbing Antony on over him when Antony's done nothing to be subbed on over him and he had a good impact in a couple of games is absolutely absurd, isn't it? Especially when Ineos didn't want to sell him in January and said he was going to be really key and important moving forward. So, talking of Antony, Manchester United are set to entertain loan offers for Antony in January. The fact that we're willing to loan him out in January, we want to sell him, but basically, Man United want to sell Antony in January. They've come to the conclusion they'll accept loans, which means they're done with Antony. For me, Antony's finished at United because the minute they're thinking of loaning you out because they can't sell you, it just means you're really not wanted within the club. And that is the situation with Antony right now. And it was said that it appears it's increasingly unlikely that Antony will see significant minutes in Manchester United going forward unless he can significantly improve his performances from the past 2 seasons. The Brazilian winger faces stiff competition from the likes of Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford, who are currently well ahead of him in the pecking order. Further reports suggest that Ineos are already planning to replace Antony with a new winger during the summer if the right option comes available. I think Ineos are done with Antony. They're saying, we want to sell him in January. In fact, we'll even loan him in January. I think the minute you say we'll loan you in January, just says, I want to get rid of you as well. Alice, with Rashford becoming a great passer, can't Rashford play the Bruno role and give Rashford a free role in the 10? I don't see it working. I think what Rashford could do is he could be a split striker and be slightly deeper behind a Højlund or someone. But I don't see Rashford as a 10. You know how I don't see Rashford as a 9? He's not a 9. He's back to play. His hold-up game isn't good. I don't see Rashford as a central player. He can play striker in a front 2 where he's split more to the left. He can play winger, but I don't think he's a number 10 as well. Ahmad just got integrated properly this season, unlike Rashford and Garnacho that have been regulars. Ahmad will leave for free, in my opinion. He won't like where we're going. Hopefully not. Because I think you could get 30 million for Ahmad. I think there's a real talent there as well. Ahmad is a baller who'll end up leaving if this manager stays, says Gaz, and that is the fear. Antony's been on borrowed time for ages. I think last year he used the excuse of what was going on with his girlfriend and all of that in his head, but he's just not been good this season. He's not been good at all as well. Hopefully, United can bring in some good players as well. I don't see Rashford in the middle as a number 10 as well. There's a lot of drama surrounding Antony, but that was well over a year ago. He's been cleared of all those charges. Continuing on, what is the latest news on Christian Eriksen? It said there's currently no contact ongoing between Manchester United board and Christian Eriksen over a new contract. He's likely to leave the club as a free agent in the summer, which is the right decision. Eriksen has been in good form. Eriksen could be a key player for us this season, and Eriksen's been really good. But we've had this before with players where they're old, they have a good season with us, so we give them a new contract, and actually the following year they're crap. I think I think Cavani, we had him for 1 year too long. We just have that with many cases with players where they're older, they have a good season, and then they just have that 1 year too long. For me, Christian Eriksen needs to go. I think he's a good player. He's a special talent, but I think he's sort of at that level where he can only take us so far because of his weaknesses out of possession. I think he's got too many problems out of possession to take us much further than we're going right now. But I think he's been a key player so far this season because he's good on the ball, and I think he's an experienced player. But Eriksen needs to be moved on. He's also on very high wages as well. It's a bit like Mata. Mata's always a good player, but Mata hadn't done enough in his last season for him to stay and warrant the wages. But he was also quite a good player while Mata that, you needed him on the pitch at times. I want to talk about a few other things that's been said in regards to player development. Diogo Dalot said this on Andre Onana, who's really improved in this last year. I think, to be honest, since Christmas time, Onana's actually had a good season. It was just the Champions League, he was dreadful. But I actually felt he improved since coming out in the Champions League. He had a good back end of last season for United. He's still a way off where I want him to be, but he's definitely improving and showing signs. Dalot said on Onana, I think it's been more of a change mentally than footballistic attributes. I think he's the same player. The only thing that he's changed is that he is, I think, more balanced mentally and prepared for the highs and lows at this club because of the demands and expectation we have here. It can be really easy for you to fall mentally and to feel bad even when things are going well for you. You feel overhyped. So I think he can find the balance of being really calm and really confident, and I think it shows on the pitch. He is good. And he's saying that, Onana is just sort of adapting to sort of the mental pressures of being at United, which kind of makes sense when you think about it as well. Eriksen always been a talent, but he's on the way, no future there. I agree. If we loan Antony, we could get a Fatawa from Leicester. I don't think we're looking at him. Rashford looks like he has the Beckham-esque pass range. I think he is one of the top chance creators this season. I'm only saying give him a free 10 role because he seems to have developed that part. I get what you're saying, but I think he creates better from wider zones where he can switch play. But you never know. It could work. I don't see it working because Kulusevski has gone from wing to the 10 role because he doesn't really have that blistering pace and he's got that physicality. While Rashford is stronger and taller, I just think that he's someone that he likes to get the ball and run at players and take them on and use his pace. He's not like Cole Palmer or Kulu, who's not about pace. It's more about his passing. But I do think passing is an underrated aspect of his game as well. Are you happy we beat Brentford 2-1? Of course. I mean, how can I not be happy? We beat Brentford 2-1 and we deserved to win that game, and there was some good performances there, and that's all I've been asking for this season. Improvement, good performances, deserved win, and 3 points. And I don't think Brentford's an easy team to beat. They battered Wolves, and then Man City could barely even beat Wolves the other day. Man City aren't at their best, Arsenal aren't the best, Liverpool are top of the league, but I still think there's more to come from Liverpool. I think this season, I'm not saying we're going to win the league or finish top 4 or do anything good, but I think if we can get back on track this season, I think we can do well. And I think Brentford was a good start, but it's if we see what we saw versus Brentford, the next 6 games, and we go into the international break with 7 games in a row like the Brentford game where we've put in a decent performance and won and been the better team and deserved to win, I'm going to be very happy going into the November international break. My big fear with Ten Hag is this another example of Ten Hag wins a game, we get a little bit of hope, we win a game, we play better, then this next game against Fenerbahce, it goes back to the same crap United. That's the worry. I don't want it to go back to crap United. I want him to have found something. He basically versus Brentford and versus Villa put the first season tactics in. The first season tactics versus Brentford and Villa. So part of me thinks he's going back to those first season tactics to try and get the ball rolling for Manchester United as well. Onana improving, but will never be an amazing shot stopper, in my opinion. He has odd instincts. I don't know. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I think he can make some amazing shot stoppers, but I think he's too inconsistent. Zirkzee could be used the way Rashford played against Brentford in the front three with Rasmus but lurking in the half space rather than out wide. Now, apparently Zirkzee's played as a winger before, so maybe that could work. I'm not sure if that would be his best role, but you just don't know. Like, if that could maybe work as well. United go to Turkey for a win. We've got to win. Yeah, we've drawn our last 2 games. We can't have another draw. We've got to win this next game, 100%. Obviously, our 3 hardest games in Europa League were the 3 first games. But, we have to win this, because imagine if we don't get out of the Europa League group. Not getting out of the Champions League group is one thing. Not getting out of the Europa League group is just embarrassing. We're Manchester United. Have you seen the teams in Europa League? We're playing PAOK, we're playing Bodo/Glimt, we're playing some Romanian team. FC20 we should have beat. Porto away, fair enough. Fenerbahce away, difficult game. But we have to win, because if we'd have beat FC20 and then we'd drawn to Fenerbahce and Porto away, it's not the end of the world, because I'm confident we'll win the next 3 games after that. But because we didn't beat FC20, we have to win on Thursday as well. Zirkzee isn't quick enough to play out there, and that was my only fear regarding him. I think you could almost play him if you had 2 8s, a little bit like Tottenham do with Maddison and Kulu, where there's a left 8 and a right 8, a little bit like Chelsea done with Palmer, but I don't know if you could play him as a winger. You could more so play him as a wide number 8 than a winger, if I was going to be honest, in my opinion. In other news, Diogo Dalot did speak about Malacia returning to training and getting stronger. He said that the squad was very happy to see Malacia return to training and get stronger. He said it was really tough to see him struggle and what he's been through. You can't imagine how difficult it would be not being able to do what you love, your job, for such a long time. That's why we celebrated when he came on training with us, even if it was just for little boxes, to make sure that he feels that we are ready to welcome him and to keep helping him. Because he's going to need it. At the end of the day, it was a really long time since he got an injury. We're pleased to have him. The team needs him and the club needs him. We're happy. So it's good to see Malacia is on the way back and is getting the support. Replace Ericsson with Adam Wharton. There was actually a report that came out from the other day, interestingly, that was basically saying that Dan Ashworth, when he was at Newcastle, was scouting Adam Wharton 2 years ago and was thinking of bringing him to Newcastle. Then Palace got in there. So considering Dan Ashworth's been doing a bit of scouting and a bit of work, that will be interesting to see. Maybe if a move for Adam Wharton could be made. Maybe a move for Adam Wharton could be made in that sense, because Dan Ashworth's been following him. He seems to be a big fan of the player. I think Bruno would get mega frustrated against a Jose side parking the bus with false moves, which we don't want to see. Maybe, but then at the same time, sometimes when a team's parking the bus and you can't break them down, you need that moment of magic, which is also what Bruno can bring as well. I hate it when fans make stupid agendas towards new players that haven't even got a good chance to prove themselves. Exactly. If anyone is turning on De Ligt, Mazraoui, Ugarte, Yoro, or a Zirkzee, grow up. You can't call someone a flop after less than 10 games. You can't call someone a flop until they're 3 months into their second season. You can say, I've got some question marks around Mason Mount, but he's been injured. Let's see how he does this season. We're in the category, yes, you can start to call Mason Mount a flop. You can say this doesn't look good, but I think you can't fully judge someone until their second season. First season's adaptation season. You can say his first season not good enough. So far, it's a flop, but I will never write off a signing until at least 3-4 months into their second season. That's just the way I see it as well. Just watched Nijpen's last game. Bodied a grown man, went on to score. I mean, he's an absolutely amazing young talent. I've not seen that personally myself, but every time I've seen a little bit of Nijpen, he has really impressed me. Even the Rosenborg pre-season friendly against him, he was super, super impressive. I could see it being a close game with Fenerbahce, but nothing like Porto 3-3. You never know. Galatasaray was a big scoring game. Every sort of European game we have is a big scoring game, but I do think it's got 1-1, 1-0, 2-1 all over it. I don't see this being a big scoring game, but Man United in Europe, it seems to go a bit on and off a little bit with us, doesn't it? Seems to go a little bit crazy, so it'll be interesting to see if anything happens as well. Mazraoui's been our best player this season, and De Ligt growing into defence. I think Mazraoui and De Ligt have both been impressive in the minutes they've had, bar the old game. Ahmad would suit against the low block, I agree. Hopefully we see Ahmad. Yoro is set to be back very, very soon as well, which is good. I honestly, I can't wait to see Lenny Yoro back in action, and hopefully by the time Lenny Yoro gets back in action, we've sorted out the stability of the team and the setup that it's going to make it easier for him. It was said today, just now by United, that Lenny Yoro still has a lot of work to do, and he'll begin the transition into team training. His return, is not imminent, but he's in that transition period now. So that's just come out today. So we could see Lenny Yoro soon, but they're still saying there's still a bit of work for him to do while he's in the transition period. But I'm so excited to see Lenny Yoro. I think he's such a good talent. Lenny Yoro said on Instagram that, he's sort of on the way back. He's working hard as well, and it's not going to be long. You know, we saw the 45 minutes he played versus Rangers in pre-season, the potential that he had, and I think it was super exciting. So I'm really excited for that addition. Listen, people, please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. I think Ericsson at 10 on Thursday is what he's going to do, and I'm not against that. I would just like to see something different, like Zirkzee there. Ericsson 10, Resk on Acho, Ahmed on the right, Rashford on the left, Højlund or Zirkzee up top. I'm down for anything as well. Ineos said we're not going to rush players back from injury, and that's fair enough. We want to prevent further injury. Listen, people, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down if you're new, but I am going to wrap up the live show here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I will be back tomorrow morning, maybe tonight if any breaking news is coming out, but I am on the United View at 7 p.m, so make sure you head over to the United View at 7 p.m. If Mount could stay fit, would like to see him cam, 100%. If Mount was fit, I'd play him. But yeah, I'll see you on the United View at 7 p.m. Thank you for watching. Bye.